disciples, denizens, citizens of YouTube. This is Pat. We're down here at Ground Zero Salem once again with a VCLT update. I have enough stuff given to me by Marty here, proprietor of Bindrune Recordings, guitarist in The Glorious Dead, all around lovely human being, that it's enough to necessitate an entire update. I picked up a few releases from Bindrune, and he included a bunch of demos from the 90s that I'm going to talk about. I got this Canis Dearest here. This is brand new, Independence to the Beast, and the new live Panopticon record, Live Migration. Now, Mike Seatown talked about both of these on his channel, and he's much better at describing this kind of stuff and talking about black metal than I am. I will say that this is a fantastic sounding live recording. Panopticon sounds perfect on it. So very much worth your time if you're a fan. A lot of energy and everything, but it sounds great. And then the Canis Dearest is also really cool. Good, moody black metal with a lot of kind of acoustic sort of things going on. A sort of melancholic, like gloomy acoustic nature to it, though. A little bit, I'd say, darker than other bands on this label that kind of flaunt with acoustic stuff, like Alda and Nakachwin. It's more of almost like sort of a neo-folk thing, like Mike said. I'll echo his sentiments there. Very, very fucking cool. Another thing that I like about these is that, if I can pull them out and it's not too much of a pain in the ass, they come with CDs, which I think is a classy move. You get the digital download card, too, for your Bandcamp if you so choose. This one was on white vinyl. Show that off. But they come with a CD, so if you have a CD player in your car, if you have a kitchen jam box like I have, you can play the CD, which is nice. But yeah, check out Mike's channel for good introspective thoughts about how great those are. Just great records. So Marty used to run a zine called Worm Gear, more of a magazine really, like a professional print magazine during the 90s and into the 2000s. Newsprint, really good stuff. He also wrote for Metal Maniacs, and over the years he was sent lots of promo stuff. He's hooked me up with some stuff in the past that just got sent to him for review and whatnot that wasn't his cup of tea. And he kept saying through messaging and whatever else over the past couple weeks, yeah, I'm sending you some stuff. Sorry if it all sucks, or sorry if it's not to your liking. And I was like, yeah, whatever. You know, free music. You know, I can always pass it on to someone else. That's kind of the fun thing with the VCLT, sending each other music through the mail deal. But almost everything in this lot of cassettes I really enjoyed. It's a lot of grindy stuff, a lot of 90s brutal death metal before everything got too polished and ridiculous. Some other odds and ends, some stuff that's kind of relevant to my past and where I come from music scene wise. So I was really happy about it. I'll start at kind of the bottom with stuff that was like, yeah, I'm cool having this, I guess, but you know, not my favorite thing out of the lot. Three tapes by a band called Fetus Eaters from California, who are kind of a grind band, goofy, childish kind of grind band, very much of its age, of the 90s. This one has that Giger art with the babies that everybody and their mother used back in the day. Well put together demos, the cool labels there. As far as I can tell, this Do You Want to Get Pregnant cassette and this self-titled cassette are the same recordings. They have the exact same track listing. I've only listened to this one so far, but yeah, a lot of goofy song titles. Fuck Your Mom and Oh By the Way I'm Satan. Very metal. Seth is gay, obviously a reference to Seth Putnam from Anal Cunt there. Beatbox You to Death. Yeah, like goofy, occasionally deliberately offensive grindcore. Music's not bad. It's actually more on the punk side of grind, I'd say, with kind of those sort of screaming kind of dirtbag lead vocals, the occasional growls. Not a bad listen, but also pretty typical for the time. Nothing that really stood out. And this one I was always curious about. Up next, we got Monosplat 7. I used to see this all the time in the Relapse catalog, back in the photocopied Relapse catalog back in the day. This is a full-length album demo pro tape called Now Available Without a Prescription. I'm not sure to what extent, but Danny Lilker was involved. He produced it, apparently. And it's weird. It's drum machine grind with a lot of, like, outside of the box kind of musical styles thrown in there haphazardly. Parts of it remind me of Exit 13. Parts of it remind me of, like, Mr. Bungle, even. The drum machine stuff, like, maybe very early agoraphobic Nosebleed or something. It's super obvious drum machine on it, though. It sounds like a drum machine from, like, 1957. So it gives it kind of a trashy, really basic industrial kind of feel. Very weird. Pretty much what I was expecting from Monosplat 7, now available without a prescription. Then we've got this compilation from a tape label from Connecticut during the 90s, Dagger Tapes, and this is a great comp. It's called Mommy Mustn't Know Compilation Volume 2. I looked at Compilation Volume 1, and it was a lot longer than this. Seemed like it had like 20 songs, and Dead Horse was on it. I'm not sure if it's the same Dead Horse from Texas, but that's the only notable band that I'm remembering. But this is just like, these would come out all the time, you know, back in the day, just tape comps, just thrown together. A lot of times it's all pre-release material. I don't know if there's anything unique to this release on this. I haven't really gone that far into looking it up, but Infamy, who I've never heard, Usurper from Chicago, Soulstalker, fucking Christ Inversion, bro. Fucking Phil Core. Phil Core's fucking black metal band, bro. El Pecado, Exhumed, early Exhumed song. Pyrexia on side B. Parasite, who the name is sort of ringing the bell, but I don't really remember. Scattered Remnants from Massachusetts, a band that's getting a lot of love currently. A lot of people are they're having a bit of a renaissance, you might say, as far as like an influential kind of like 90s brutal death metal band, for good reason. They're fucking really, really good. And then also from Massachusetts, Entropy, who are kind of they were a grind band who were pretty fucking good. And I got a feeling I'm going to be talking about them soon. So yeah, very cool compilation there. You know, not totally pro. You know, these kinds with the paper labels on them. Good stuff. Then this Bariata ASDF. So, Japanese band. A lot of the time you can't go wrong with a lot of Japanese stuff. This one you can. It's very like Pantera, Machine Headish with that really processed kind of compressed guitar tone going on. Not really my thing. Modern extreme metal or whatever. This I was very stoked about, however. This is Engorged. The first Engorged full length, a promo of it from Razorback Records. Death Metal Attack 2, pre-release promo. Razorback Records. I love Engorged. I love the self-titled, rather. I don't own anything else. This is the beginning of their sound, doing what they did really well on that first self-titled record. Super fun listen, combination of gore grind, thrash metal, a little bit of hardcore, some good gang vocals. Love Engorged. Awesome band from the Pacific Northwest. Ryan's in a bunch of other great bands too, as well. Dude's kept active. Here's a nice surprise here. Where's the other one? 2 tapes by a band called Ton from Ohio. And I didn't know what to expect. You know, kind of dated cover art there. This is mid-90s. Band called Ton, you know, super obvious. Get it? We're heavy, you know. Like that band Tungsten that was on, I think, Grindcore Records. The guy from Crowbar was wearing one of their shirts once. Get it? Heavy, Ton. Okay. However, music's awesome. It's like, again, 90s brutal death. Sounds somewhere in between like Pyrexia or Suffocation with all the climbs and kind of noodly bass with like a more pummeling, like gutted kind of sound, which is, you know, same state. It's got that cool, you know, Midwest brutal death thing going on, and really, really, really good lyrics. I'll read you some right here. Not that I would want to be known as a bitching, moaning, little bleeding heart complainer, but I'd like to share a fleeting thought that once or twice occupied my mind for a moment. Have you ever stopped to question the distribution of wealth in America? And did you know that 99% of the wealth is controlled by 1% of the population? Do you give a shit? Yeah, I mean, it sucks that metal's been trying so hard lately to be political the last couple of years. It never was before, like in the 90's. Anyways, yeah, both of these are really good. They're available on one CD. I think Severed put it out. One of those brutal death metal labels put it out, and it's that one copy's up on Discogs. So seek it out if that sounds good to you. Then we've got Jesu Christ of Majestic Darkness. This is a 4-song demo solo project from Justin Stubbs, fellow metal YouTuber, Father Befouled, whole bunch of other projects. This is a pretty cool little project. It sounds a lot like Judas Iscariot. You know, kind of melodic leaning, raw black metal, cool trem picking, very icy vibes. Worth checking out. If it's not sure if it's up on YouTube or not, but I'll put a link below if it is. This is a cool one. This band is from the Bronx, Hellbound. Terrible Photoshop art, but this is literally from 1995, so it's very much, you know, cutting edge at the time. Looks like a big box video game. This band, Bronx band, look at those dudes. I thought, it's like, yeah, maybe they're hardcore. No, they sound like Demolition Hammer. You know, Demolition Hammer being the big metal band from their town, their borough. You know, they sounds like almost like Demolition Hammer or Junior. It's a little bit rawer. You know, it's a demo more or less. A little bit more like frantic, a little bit sloppier, but it's that really like just brimming over with fucking rage, pounding, as extreme as thrash gets, kind of thrash metal stuff from the fucking Bronx. Hellbound, Transcend the Flesh. So we've got up next Parade of the Lifeless and As the World Burns. I put these two together because they're both from the Rochester, Buffalo area. I'm sure they played shows together. They were both around in the late 90's. I kind of relate this scene to some personal stuff to me as I was around for some of this stuff. I wish I was paying more attention to it as it was going on, but I was kind of steeped in the DIY punk kind of thing, pogo punk, and maybe a little bit of crust, so I was missing out on a lot of good sort of metallic stuff at the time. I definitely remember hearing of As the World Burns, and maybe I heard a Parade of the Lifeless. I looked up like on Discogs and Metal Archives and stuff, like people that were playing in these bands. Definitely knew one or two of the guys in As the World Burns. That band, As the World Burns, these guys went on to form Calabas, who are a great band from the early 90's, or early 2000s rather. They were a willow tip band. But before I get ahead of myself, let me talk about Parade of the Lifeless. Sort of technical grind, a lot of good tempo changes, really frantic, furious stuff. You know, a couple of different vocal approaches, growling, shrieking, etc. They were more from the Buffalo area, it looks like. Buffalo address here. Super political lyrics. Again, you know, I guess they didn't get the memo, but it's death grind kind of stuff. Parade of the Lifeless is an ass suck song, so I think that they're kind of wearing their influences on their sleeves there, but very competently played. Technical death grind, we'll call it. Then we got As the World Burns, who I was just babbling about. Fucking incredible band. Went on to be Calabas, like I said. What was neat about this is I opened it up and there was a letter to Marty and a flyer for As the World Burns opening for a band called God Below in my hometown at a place called The Wolf Inn that I never went to because I wasn't old enough. Most of the time shows were going on there. They definitely were like a 21 and over place from what I remember. But they used to have like a lot of the metal shows, bands like Violent Fury and stuff. But God Below were great. They're a great local band. Almost like melodic sweet death kind of leanings, and also a lot of sludge and a lot of the modern hardcore stuff that was going on at the time. Hatebreed and stuff like that, kind of all mixed together. Cleveland hardcore, At the Gates, and like I Hate God all kind of went into the formula of that band. But anyways, As the World Burns are fucking awesome. They are like very much like in the spirit like of a true death metal band. They have that kind of vocal approach with real growly kind of vocal execution, but sometimes they get a bit chuggy, a la like a moshy or hardcore band, but there's way more like of a tasteful approach. The chuggy parts don't last long enough for anybody to really suitably kick the shit out of each other before it goes into some weird icy black metal riff or something else. Definitely a band that keeps you guessing, but not like a scattershot, like riff salad for no good reason. They didn't do much else in this. There was another demo that I looked up that was like 3 songs, and then they probably dissolved the band and turned into Calabash after that. Then we've got Avulsion, Dimensions of Darkness. This is another promo on Deathgasm. This was an Atlanta band. This is also like a 90s brutal band, like super guttural and stuff, but instead of going for like a lot of like really, really fast punishing tempos, they almost have a dirgier, slower kind of approach. Not really reaching doom, but more of almost kind of like a cyanide kind of thing, but more like brutal, if that makes any sense. And that's just judging by the first couple of songs I listened to on this. I need to spin it some more, but I definitely really liked what I heard. Not to be confused with the Avulsion from Buffalo, New York, who were kind of a technical, weird power violence grind band with death metal touches. So, great scene in Buffalo. Then No Rest for the Dead. This is a Japanese band that was good, that I really liked. I liked it so much that I saw their CD for $5, so I pulled the trigger on it on Discogs. Earthling from Mars. 4 songs on this. Also grind, leaning more to the death metal side of grind, but with, you know, I don't want to insult it by just saying stoner rock, because I feel like that's a blanket term that could mean good things or bad things. It's got a lot of like hard rock, like 70s kind of vibes that, yeah, Sabbath, but also like Hendrix and stuff thrown in the middle of all this kind of grindcore. And it works really well. Came with a little Deaf American Recordings order form here. What else is on this? Agents of Satan Burn the Priest split. Brutal Truth Rupture split. Agathocles Black Army Jacket split. The Brutal Truth Machine Parts 7-inch. The No Rest for the Dead. Drug Crazed Grind Freaks of the World Unite. Good shit. And then, I'm trying to remember exactly. I listened to this not closely enough. I remember it being 90s death metal that was pretty technically competent. And that's about it. This is a band called Spinecast from Alabama. It's good. Only 3 songs from Harvest, Alabama. Incantation, Nile, Flesh Grind, Internal Bleeding. Kind of the bands you'd expect on the thanks list there. Again, there will be links for everything below if it's available on YouTube, which can be hit or miss sometimes with a lot of this stuff, but I'm always pleasantly surprised by how good people are at archiving things. Then we have Victims of Internal Decay. This band were on grindcore, I think. Red Light Records, it looks like, because they're on the fuck off list here. It was a band from Portland in the mid to late 90s, death metal band. This is fun, kind of creative death metal that not taking itself too seriously. This is called the Resin 67 Sessions. So there's, you know, a wink and a nod towards weed smoking there. But it's got its thrash elements and doom elements, grind elements, all kind of under a death metal umbrella. Very enjoyable. I know Ben has talked about the full length, which I think had like a knockoff Giger cover. I remember seeing it all the time. I can't remember if it was on, if Red Light was related to grindcore or it was a thing where they changed the name of the label. I'm not sure. I didn't research it. I'm going to check it out after I film this because I'm a nerd. And then finally, the only non-demo Marty sent me, the Crowbar debut. I think this is the first one, Obedience Through Suffering. Yeah, I like Crowbar. Yeah, grindcore records. This is before it was Pavement. That's what it was. Grindcore turned into Pavement, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know where Red Light comes into all that. I think Red Light was a distribution. At any rate, this is very early Crowbar. Very good. I enjoy it. If you like Crowbar, you like it. I'm not sure if a lot of my viewers are big Crowbar heads. I just have a certain nostalgic, like, soft spot in my heart for the self-titled one. Really like that one. You know, the heaviness of it is great. To me, it sounds like a doom metal sheer terror, that self-titled record. A lot of their stuff does, and that's pretty pretty much two things I like a lot. This has a little bit more even of like kind of a hardcore influence on it. There's a little bit more up-tempo material on it, but you know, that crushing Sabbathy groove that Crowbar is known for. I have this on vinyl too, but cool to have on tape. Obedience Through Suffering. What year did this come out? I can't read it. Probably 91, something like that, 92. And that's about it. Cool. I'll talk to you guys later.